Welcome. We'd ask that you all be seated if you can find a seat. We didn't expect that. There's plenty up here in the front row. I'd like to welcome you to the Clayton Tribune's debate for Rabun County Sheriff between Democratic nominee James Blalock, Republican nominee Chad Nichols. We do ask that you turn off all of your cell phones or whatnot, or at least put them on mute. We had several Amber Alerts. We understand that those will come through the mute anyway, so no harm, no foul there. We do ask you to keep applause, cheer, and stuff like that to an absolute minimum because we don't want to keep you any longer than we have to. We're going to start off with the opening statement, and we'll turn that over to Mr. Blalock.
Good evening. My name is James Blalock. I'm here tonight to ask the people of Rabun County for your support and your vote for the upcoming election for sheriff. First of all, I want to thank Jesus Christ for giving me the glory, or I'm going to give him the glory because without him, I would not be here tonight. I put my trust in Jesus Christ, my faith to serve him. And I'm also a family man. I love my wife and I love my children. And I protect my family. And if you give me the opportunity, I'll protect yours. I'm a devoted Rabun County citizen. I love the people of Rabun County. I am running for sheriff because I will stand up for the victims of family violence. I will enforce the law on family violence. I'm also running because of the mothers and fathers. I don't want them to worry about their children addicted to drugs. I will enforce drugs, and I will enforce drug dealing in Rabun County.
Mr. Nichols.
Good afternoon, everyone. Nothing much changed since the last time I was before you guys here, probably April or May. First, I would like to just say thanks to all the voters out there and the supporters that saw fit into me to elect me as a Republican candidate. Be a tough opponent. On the plan, nothing has changed. Like I said, I've been 98, started out in the jail here, worked myself up to deputy, then at the shift supervisor, then I worked at the city police for a while, and then been chief in the city of Baldwin now for about 2.5 years. Like I said, the plan has not changed to be accessible, visible, and working to you, budget responsibly, effectively target drug enforcement, renew positive working relationships with other agencies in the county, establish a purposeful sheriff's office, and be accountable to you, the voters. Thank you, and I ask for your vote.
Okay, candidates, this question is for both of you. Why do you want to be sheriff of Rabun County?
Mr. Blalock.
I want to be sheriff of Rabun County because I want to love the people of Rabun County. I want the people to have respect for the badge and for the men and women that work the job. When you call upon me in the department I build, you will have the confidence and know that we will serve you and love you and protect you. I will not operate an agency that tries to make revenue off the public. I will operate a jail, and I will treat them inmates with respect, and I will treat the family with respect. And I'm clearly a different candidate. I am a man that will stand strong and serve the people. Thank you.
Mr. Nichols.
Repeat the question again.
Why do you want to be the sheriff of Rabun County?
This year, it goes down to a public servant heart. I've had that. I've been in law enforcement since I was 19 years old, continuously working in law enforcement, continuously serving my county. My family is that. My wife, she's been a school teacher here for 16 years in the school system. So I think as a family, we're committed to public servant. I'm a committed public servant here. I worked a lot of long hours day and night for this in this county. And that is what makes me feel like that I need to be sheriff, is that I have that public servant heart. Had it since I'm 19. I went to work away from here to come back to serve my community because I want to serve this community where I grew up, where I live, and the community I love.
This is a question for both of you. What is your law enforcement and managerial experience, and how has that prepared you to serve as sheriff of Rabun County?
Mr. Nichols.
Yes, as I ran through in my intro, I worked in the jail and dispatcher for the Rabun County Sheriff's Department. So I have that working experience there. I did serve as a deputy from 2000 to 2009. I became a patrol sergeant, so that let me deal with everything under the sun. The sheriff's office is a full-service law enforcement agency. I mean, everything you cover from the jail up through serving papers, did that. Any type of law enforcement function I have experience with. Said in 2014, I took the job first as assistant chief, moved up to chief about a month and a half later, and I've been there 2.5 years at City of Baldwin as the chief, in which I took the chief law enforcement executive training. I've had all levels of supervision and management training, and I've been able to use a lot of that as I have been the chief in Baldwin.
Mr. Blalock.
As a deputy sheriff here in Rabun County, I have made arrests of local drug dealers. From my work, I have seized large amounts of methamphetamine, cocaine, and heroin. I have, as a deputy sheriff, I've also seized over $400,000 of cash money from drug dealers. I know who's dealing drugs in Rabun County, and I know who's using drugs in Rabun County. Right now, and I will put a law enforcement team together that will enforce drugs in Rabun County, and we'll try our best to put a stop to it. Not like Chief Nichols, under his direction at the Baldwin Police Department, for the past 2 years, he's made 2 meth arrests, the whole department, 0 cocaine and 0 heroin. That will not stand for my sheriff's office.
As an accusation was leveled at your leadership of Baldwin Police Department, would you like 1 minute to rebut?
Yes. When I was hired at Baldwin, it was tasked to rebuild a department from the ground up. That means everything was started over from scratch. So I've had to build the department, plus build the trust with the community back. So with the police department there, that has ranged from answering calls to business checks to everything under the sun. They also did a reduction of force when they did the layoff, so I've had to work with less. But my guys are motivated. They're out there day and night trying to do the best job they can for the city of Baldwin. And we, as a department, don't have a drug investigator, so we pass all of our information over to the Appalachian Regional Drug Enforcement Office that also serves Rabun County. And I'll get to that later on, hopefully in the speech. But that's kind of what I'd like to say with that. There's more to running a sheriff's department or a police department than just one specific issue. It's an encompassing a great, a large caveat or whatever.
Okay, this question is for both of you. Ryan Bramblett asks, if elected, what would be your first 3 objectives to put into place as sheriff?
Mr. Blalock.
First 3 things. Number 1, I will stand strong as a sheriff. I'll take full responsibility of enforcing the law. I will take full responsibility for the budget, full responsibility for the jail, and every issue that comes my way. Number 2, I will build a team, and we will work together as a family. We will trust each other, we'll respect each other, and we'll love each other. Number 3, I will serve the people of Rabun County. My door will be open. When you walk in that door, my office will be right there. Not like Chad Nichols' office is behind closed doors, behind 3 secretaries, and you can't get a hold of them at Baldwin PD.
Because of the accusation, chance to rebut, would you like to take the opportunity?
I don't, I wasn't there when the building was built. I don't know other than to say if people calling them there, I meet with them. If they show up, I meet with them. I don't.
Okay, Mr. Nichols, question for you. I will repeat the question. Ryan Bramblett asks, if elected, what would be your first 3 objectives to put into place as sheriff?
First 3 objectives, I think, is the biggest area here is I kept meeting with people pre-primary and even since the primary, The drug issue is real big. I think with my three-pronged approach to the drug enforcement, with the education, incarceration, rehabilitation, educating the public and the officers what to look for and what to do. Of course, locking people up, and then the rehabilitation end, pointing someone, some family that may not be to the getting locked up stage, to point them to help. We have a lot of different things available in this county that people can be pointed to. Secondly, the restructuring of the department to get the more manpower on the road. Currently, we only have 2 deputies working the shift, so my thing is to restructure a lot of positions to not impact the budget, and then that will hopefully lead enough people to zone the counties for the entire county to get the best representation of law enforcement services here in the county.
This is a question for both of you. It has been said that the most widespread crime in Rabun County and Northeast Georgia is illegal drug use. What is your plan to combat this issue? Please be specific.
Mr. Nichols.
Hey, I known that was going to be asked, I wouldn't have spent so much on a minute ago. The same thing, taking a different approach other than just locking people up and throwing away the key. I think the officers, as we've seen the last thing, there's been a lot of turnover. So we want to get these inexperienced, younger officers some experience, what to look for, how to get going on the traffic stop, because that's patrol is where a lot of your drug dealing begins, is getting the bus on patrol and working them on up. Also, do something to them when they are called, but in the rehabilitation part, seen a lot of families, that didn't have nowhere else to turn. So I think as a sheriff, to keep them out of my jail and for us keeping the upkeep for somebody locked up for drugs, that there should be some type of rehabilitation avenues out there, and there is some available in this county. We just got to utilize them.
Mr. Blalock.
I will put together a full-time team. I will have a patrol unit that works strictly drug interdiction on the highway. And I will provide them with a K-9 unit, and that K-9 will not be for show. It will be a tool of law enforcement that we use daily. Number 2, I will have a full-time drug investigator, someone that investigates the dealing and the selling of drugs locally, somebody that can write a search warrant and serve a search warrant. And that's what we need. We don't have that today, or we've not had in the past 8 years a drug investigator that will write a search warrant, go and get the drugs from the home, not off out of a car when they have just a small amount. I'm going to attack the drug dealer, the local drug dealer, not the user. I'm going to help the users, and I'm going to support the users and find them the help they need. But a drug dealer, I'm putting them out of business if you elect me sheriff.
Mr. Blalock, this question's for you. You were most recently a Sky Valley police officer who was terminated from the position, a termination you contended as unjust. As a result of that termination, a post-investigation was opened, and you filed a lawsuit against the county and the current sheriff. What is the status of the investigation and of the lawsuit?
The post-investigation was thrown out because there's no cause for it. Because my chief responded to post and said I did not violate no policy and I did nothing wrong. The lawsuit, I hired an attorney to represent me and protect my rights, because I do believe in the U.S. Constitution, and I believe in my rights as an American citizen, and I believe my rights as a Rabun County citizen. What happened was someone come to me and needed help, and I went to the right authority and I asked for help, and the help was failed. And then I kept on and went to the next step of help, and that was failed. I will stand up and protect the innocent. Thank you.
This is a question for Mr. Nichols. In a previous debate, you said you would like to increase the number of deputies per shift and section off the county into zones. Additional personnel come at a cost, and the sheriff's office is funded by tax dollars. What is your plan specifically to fund more deputies, their equipment, and their vehicles?
All right. The personnel is there now. The personnel has just been utilized more in the office setting. So I don't foresee me having to go ask for any type of other, just moving positions that are already there, because the impact needs to be made on the street, not in the office. I think a lot of departments get top heavy. I think this one's been top heavy for a while. So that is my thing, to use the budget that's there, put those officers on the road, and when they, there should be the equipment there, the cars is there, so I don't foresee any impact on the budget.
This question is for both of you. Ed Henderson asks, Governor Nathan Deal recently announced a 20% increase in state law enforcement salaries on top of a 6% increase included in the last budget. While arguably a laudable goal, there might be a sharper exodus of talent to much more attractive state benefits. As sheriff, how will you retain good law enforcement officers in the face of the forthcoming pay disparity?
Mr. Blalock.
Number one, I'm gonna find people that love Rabun County and love the people of Rabun County. And as a boss and as a supervisor, I'm gonna love them. And whatever I can provide them for their career or their family, I'm gonna do. I'm gonna fight tooth and nail to support them and love them. And I'm gonna lead by example. And if I go to work every day and I take the paycheck I get, I'm gonna be happy with it, and I'm gonna make sure they're happy with theirs. And that's how I'm gonna keep people, love them, respect them, and work with them as a family.
Mr. Nichols.
How I would approach that is kind of how I approached it Baldwin, and how as a deputy, we didn't make the greatest. I was actually working in the jail making more money and took a pay cut to go to the road as a deputy, making $9.59. I think the pay is nice, but when you love your job, love what you do, work for good people that treat you good, respect you, try to get you equipment here and there, I think that goes a long way. There's other ways to compensate people other than money, is to make them feel part of a team. For example, down at Baldwin, when I took over down there, I got the guys to write goals, what they wanted to achieve, a couple of goals, and then what they'd like the department to achieve, and then their own mission statement. So once they did the mission statement, I took bits and pieces of theirs and formed our own mission statement. So I think it boils down to getting that employee to buy in whichever way, and I think money's not always a big motivator.
This is a question for both of you. Ed Henderson also asks, over the past 8 years, Sheriff Frank Andrews initiated several community outreach programs, started a Facebook page, and established a program to interest high school students in law enforcement. If elected, will these and other active sheriff's office programs be continued under your tenure?
Mr. Nichols.
Yes, I think a lot of the focus needs to be put back really on patrol and building up the office. As you can see in the Tribune the past few weeks, a lot of the dogs getting sent away. I'm sure there's other stuff that has changed. With a lot of turnover, there's going to be a lot of training. So I think the focus needs to be on the sheriff's department as far as the function that they're provided as a service. But the community service is a part of that function too. So I think I like the Citizens Academy. I think that's really good, getting the citizens involved, letting them know our job, the Explore program that may, be a pool from where we can pull people to come from to be deputies once they're out of school. So, I said I'm not against community programs. I've started several down in Baldwin, the Shop with the Cop thing, that raise money for school for the kids at Christmas in the area, and also the mentor program and the school system in Baldwin as well. I did it here as well in Rabun County. So yes, I think to continue in community programs.
Mr. Blalock.
I love children. I love young people. And I know it's hard for young people to find their way in life. And if I can help somebody boost their career and want to be a police officer or a jailer or anything they want to be, I'll help them. But I'm more law enforcement. I would rather protect that child from getting addicted to drugs or alcohol or get them in the wrong place. I want to help the schools, and I want to help the school officers to be more involved with children. And yes, to answer your question, I will continue that Explorer program because I want young people to have a good career. And we need young people to learn from what we do as policemen and show them the experience and what we can get out of law enforcement. Yes, I will.
Further along that same point, recently the sheriff's office added a second school resource officer to the Rabun County Public School System. Would you keep the second resource officer, or would you move that person to another area of law enforcement? Mr. Blalock.
One of the first things I would do would meet with the school board superintendent, and I would, we're going to work together. We're going to work together with the school resource office program. We're going to work together on the ball game program, on bomb threats, on securing the place and the traffic. And more officers I can put in the schools, better for the people of Rabun County. And I will keep a law enforcement officer at the school.
Mr. Nichols.
I would keep her there. I think it's probably long overdue. I think even with the high school, middle school there, that's a lot of territory for one, much less the primary and the elementary. So I think that's a good, to finally get that in there to someone controlling the school, working with the school. I think there needs to be that dialogue with the school board. I don't believe that's probably ever happened, so I think there needs to be a dialogue there to, as a sheriff, let them know what I expect my officer to be doing while they're at the school, but to see what they, how they, from their perspective, would like the school resource officer to be involved in the school system. But I think that dialogue, but I think it's great that they're there, and that's it.
Okay, this question is for both candidates. Give your thoughts on the sheriff's office relationship with area city police and other area sheriff's offices. What, if anything, would you do to improve it?
Mr. Nichols.
I think improving it is to November 8th to get out and vote for Chad Nichols for sheriff. I've been out here working with these guys for years. It was a hard decision to leave these other guys and these other departments to go off where I could go professionally, but that's the choice I had to make. To come back to be sitting in front of you guys right now, to be the sheriff. As far as relationships, I have great relationships with surrounding sheriffs. Had the pleasure of meeting Hall County Sheriff about a month ago and talked about some things, so I'm excited. Police departments, we try to get, I've always got along with them. I work part-time, pretty much in almost every police department to help them out while I was a deputy here. So, they're like family, they're like my brothers, and I back the blue as the Tribune did. So I'm looking forward to working with everyone.
This is a question for both of you.
Excuse me.
Jamie, did you get the
Oh,
answer?
sorry.
Jamie.
I also think of my fellow officers as my brothers. I've got 2 brothers. I've got 3 boys, sons, and we're a team. And out here, Sky Valley, Dillard, Clayton, Little Falls, and the sheriff's office, I want everybody to be brothers and sisters and work together. And as the top law enforcement officer, I will give them every opportunity. I will welcome them into my office. I will welcome them to my department. And we will train together, work together, and have fun together and live together. I love my local brothers.
Now, this is a question for both of you. What are your thoughts on the current crime rate in the county, and how, if possible, can it be reduced?
Mr. Blalock.
Repeat it, please.
What are your thoughts on the current crime rate in the county, and how, if possible, can it be reduced?
Rabun County is a low crime rate place, I believe. But if we don't have no enforcement of drug dealing or drug use, it's going to rise, it's going to rise. The drug dealing, they're not afraid of getting caught because nobody's enforcing the law. So if nobody's enforcing the law, You keep on putting people in office that don't enforce drugs, and it's gonna get worse and worse. Drug dealers sell drugs. Drug users break into houses. And then they do other things. If you don't stop drug dealing, you ain't gonna stop the drug crime rate. And if you elect me to be sheriff, I will lower the crime rate. But right now, we're Rabun County, and it's a safe place to live, and I'll continue to let it be a safe place to live.
Mr. Nichols.
Fortunately, rural counties like ourselves, we are plagued with a lot of thefts and burglaries, which stemmed a lot of times from some type of addiction. But we have a lot of good people in this area, so we don't have to worry about crime, but the crime is still here. And that's one of the parts of my plan that I touched on last go around, was to use crime statistics and data to kind of see what areas of the county are getting plagued by break-ins or whatever type of crime that may be out there. And then by doing so, you can target those areas of crime and hopefully cut down on that rate. So I think, the plan that I've had before and now, sticking with it'll attack that problem, because I think we can always do something to lower the crime, even though we are blessed to live where we do.
Last question of the evening, and keeping it professional as always. If you could ask your opponent one question, what would it be? Mr. Nichols.
I think I'd like to know, basically, I've laid out a plan every time, been pretty specific on it, so I'd just like to know what my opponent's plan would be if he were elected sheriff.
Mr. Blalock, would you like to answer the question?
As sheriff, I will stand strong. I will not be weak. I will not use tricks. I will not use programs. I will be a lawman. And respectfully, I will love and serve the people. And I will enforce the Georgia law. I will protect the U.S. Constitution. And I will let the people of Rabun County live their lives at peace, because what we are peacemakers, peace officers. We're not here to hurt, we're here to help. And I will lead my department in helping people and loving people.
Likewise, Mr. Blalock, if you could ask your opponent one question, what would it be?
I have all the respect in the world for Chad Nichols. I've known him for quite a while. And if I had my choice, I would call Chad up and say, let's work this out. Let's be a team. And I just would like, and if I'm elected sheriff, Chad Nichols will be the first person I call to hire. And I just want to know if he feels the same way.
Mr. Blalock, Mr. Nichols.
As I've done, and everybody that I've run across and knows me, it's one thing I've done I didn't do in 2012 and 2016, and that was to promise anybody anything. I've not promised anybody in positions. I just want to first focus on winning sheriff, and with your help, I can do that on November 8th. Then after that, I'll assemble a team, and we will get to work on January 1st to serve the citizens to the best of our ability.
We'll now move to closing statements. The order of these statements was predetermined. Mr. Nichols.
Yes, sir. Just want to thank the Tribune again for this opportunity. I want to thank my supporters and voters getting me through that tough primary, beating the two-time incumbent sheriff. I thank you for that support, because without majority of people in this room and out in this county, that wouldn't have happened. I guess I just want to get across why should you vote for me. So I have a plan. I've already been putting that plan into place. I've actually got a map, probably in 2012. I actually went down and been looking geographically how to divide the county. I've been working with the 911 center to figure out how they can get the volume of calls in each fire district now to give me a better, as a numerical number on how to district the county. I've reached out, got a copy of the budget, been looking at that as far as how to maneuver stuff around. I have talked to the drug task force to talk about our future focus here in Rabun County, and ask for your vote.
Mr. Blalock.
Thank you for having me here tonight to speak. The paper this week categorized me as I wanted Democrat votes. Well, that's incorrect. I want all votes. I am not a Democrat. I'm not a Republican. If you want to categorize me, I'm a Rabun County citizen that wants to be sheriff. I'm a Christian. I love Jesus Christ. I'm a husband. I'm a father. And I love my family. And I am a lawman. I am not going to trick you and tell you something that I'm not. I'm not a politician. I am a lawman and I'm a leader. And I will put together a team that will enforce the law and respect the people of Rabun County. I want to love people and work with them. I ask for your vote. I ask for your support. And I know you've probably made your own decision, but please give it another thought. Because I will work Chad. And Chad will work in Rabun County. But I want to be sheriff.
This concludes the night of debates hosted by the Clayton Tribune. Once again, we'd like to thank you for coming out tonight and spending some quality time with us, as well as thank Mr. Clark Bird and Cricket Workheiser, our panelists this evening. We'd also like to thank our candidates, Mr. Chad Nichols and Mr. James Blalock. Thank you and have a great evening.